Citizens, how's your spirit? Title is I never make a promise that I can't keep. I made a promise to my cousin Demario in the spirit that I would leave something for his son Cats. Something based on conversations that he and I had back in 2018 before his passed. I get tired of the noise police. You know what? Hold on for a second because it probably means that um my whatchamacallit needs to be yep. Okay. That should be better. Just one more thing. Let me and I hope that you can hear me well enough. So anyway, um I was looking at a video by a gentleman first named Spencer. I don't remember. It's a short on YouTube where he's telling people what things to purchase for the homeless when you're helping them. The group that I've been working with here, we put together a list similar to those items. And when I saw the chapstick, I thought I should mention one of the coolest things that I've learned is that you can use chapstick to make a candle. You can use rice and some and certain other things, and that's why you should help people in general, specifically the homeless, though, because they know things you never knew you needed to know. In the midst of an emergency, if you got some chapstick and some string, you can light a fire, at least the candle, and you can sustain that long enough. Put it on some wood, and you got a decent enough fire going. Is it possibly toxic? I mean, that's the cost of doing business, right? So I've always fussed about people who put other homeless people on camera without their permission. In some cases, even with their permission, because it's a violation of someone's dignity so that you can make money. And you know that they're not going to eat off of what it is that you're doing. Anyway, that's why in all things I try to be at peace, peaceful, peace minded. The difference between me and most other organizations is that I am a cannabis first uh, advocate. It's simply my belief that when we give people cannabis, um, even recreationally, uh, it incentivizes them to deal with the mental minutia that is the day to day existence in the world today. When you do that to treat things medically, like heart disease, lung disease, then you get into a sustainable new way of holistic healing. And it's only because we denied in the beginning what we knew to be true about cannabis and other herbs. It's holistic medicine in the form of food. When we don't choose or provide the right foods to people, we are in danger of violating their rights. Just their basic right to live, let alone live long and be prosperous. So the point of this is I started out intending to build um, a tiny home village where his cousins could fly out, spend some time, and on the caravan ride back, those children whose parents are housed in prison would be able to stop and visit them, preferably outside of the prison, but in a safe enough environment where they can have physical contact and be a family. For whether it's just a few hours or not, it's still something. And if we do that quarterly based on good behavior inside of the nation, I think it's a benefit for everybody. It reduces recidivism. It reduces children who end up in the foster system. We find a better way to keep families together. We teach parenting classes in the system and by way of field training, not um, making not a bunch of homework, but some, because we've got to get it done, right? And it's just my belief, not just, it is my belief, were we to begin immediately and provide everyone with $75 of free cannabis a week, $1,000 in universal basic income, the equivalent of $1,000 in a housing voucher, along with insurance to include vision, dental, and medical, uh, and 6 months to 2 years to live in basically what would otherwise be rent-free housing, and simply focus on healing themselves and their families. This is why I say there would be some homework involved. In exchange for all that, your government and or I would be asking that those who are veterans, disabled, who have professions, but are able to go back to offer an apprenticeship that we will cover, but you all are providing all of the things that the apprentice would otherwise need, and you get to keep your tiny home. Also, though, also what's known as a stage in the culinary community, which is to take on an unpaid intern, so to speak, underneath your apprentice, so that no one is starving. The churches will be asking them to assist by way of offering inside shelter for one person and outside shelter on the property by way of being security, so that everyone is giving back in the way of sweat equity, so that either they are paying off their housing in the end, which is why they get to keep the $2,000 a month, or um, they're giving back and preparing themselves to be able to use the $24,000 overall, along with preparing to create their own sustainable business or become a part of the organization. So they'll be able to put that money into the organization by way of their investment, and immediately receive return on investment by one being able to keep the tiny home that they are in, two watching the what they have put into place begin to work, being there to witness it working, and most importantly, receiving sustainable income by way of cannabis, which will be our fiat. In order to be able to do this, we have to open up the space for young men and women who are coming out of prison who should not have been there, because cannabis should have long since been legalized around the country as well as around the globe. In so doing, we need to create a pathway to expungement that takes 6 months or less, so that they can be in spaces and able to get social equity grants, which will only be offered. There will be no more dispensaries offered around this country or licensing until such time as all of these people are brought up, including myself, to at least the baseline of the cannabis industry. We were all left out of the market by way of social inequality, inequities. Young men and women went to prison because they were providing it to young men and women who went on to go to Harvard, Yale, and become to politicians and celebrities today. That is not okay. So we're going to fix that discrepancy immediately, which is why people have been trying to stop me. That alone, right, is valuable and worth its own amount. I started that with $0. I continue to do so with $0, except for what is donated to me. And I take that money, which is meant for me directly, and I put it into my medicating in my business. I use food banks to sustain myself. I chose to be independent. I chose to be a spiritualist. I chose to believe that the Most High God had a calling over my life that I would be fine, no matter what anyone has done to me. So when it seems like I may not be a victim of these crimes, I am. How do you fight back? How do you teach anybody else to fight back? How do you write laws so people don't have to fight anymore? How do you teach people to turn out those who do not deserve to be in homes? You cannot prey on the minds of innocent men, women, and children and believe that you are the villain in the story. I simply match the description.